Welcome everyone, and don't touch that dial because you are locked into the only station you need for Tennessee high school football action. It's a Friday night in Robertson County, and you know what that means. It's week 7 of high school football here in Tennessee, and we're coming to you tonight high above Patriot Field, nestled on the campus of White House Heritage High School. We're at the home of the brand new shade of blue in White House, Tennessee for this grudge match with Region 5-4A taking on Region 6-3A with bragging rights on the line. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I am your host, Jim Sorrells, alongside my co-host, Kevin Criswell, and we are the voice of the Bobcats, bringing you all that is Greenbrier High School sports and information. Be sure to follow along with us all year long and join the conversation on Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anything that uses that handle at VoiceOfCatsTN and the hashtag Greenbrier Football. Tonight's broadcast is Briar built, and it's brought to you in part by the Greenbrier Athletic Club, who, for over 50 years, has supported the Greenbrier Football Bobcats, and of course by you, our fans, family, and friends, as none of this is possible without your support. Last week was another tale of two halves, as that other team from the East that's decked in blue contained the Cats 30-10. At final whistle, the Bobcats amassed 176 yards of total offense, thanks mostly in part to Travarius Flood. Flood, getting the nod at quarterback, finished the night with 50 yards passing and 75 yards on the ground, and the Cats' lone score. A couple of other Cats had some grabs. Nate Castleman with 3 catches for 27 yards, and Dalton Wilbur for 2 catches for 23 yards. Carson Wood was the other workhorse. He averaged 7.2 yards per carry when he touched the ball. Give credit to that offensive line for pushing them out of the way. Defensively, Dre Thomas flying all over the place, finishing with 5 solo stops, 3 assists, and 2 tackles for loss. 6 total tackles for loss on the night for Gang Green. With Friday night in the rear view, we roll up onto another team from White House that's also seen some success this season. The Patriots, they enter the night at 4-2 under their first-year coach in Scott Murray. Last year, the Patriots had only a single victory to their name. Since then, the Patriots have had only one focus: stability. Murray, the former head coach of Clarksville Academy, was thrilled to be joining a school that feels like home earlier this season, and he has settled right in. Stability is a key word not only for Murray, but the entire Heritage Patriot football team, as the Patriots are now on to their 3rd head coach in the last 3 seasons. Last week, it was a trip up to Pleasant View to take on Sycamore, as the Patriots escaped with a 20-14 victory. They're first on the road this season. A freshman quarterback in Xavier Murray, he was their leader, completing 10 of 11 passes for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their leading receiver, Eric Lopez, nabbed 4 balls for 82 yards and 1 score, which was the eventual game winner. On the ground, the sensational Adrian Bonilla returned to the fold after sitting out the previous week. His stat line of the night, 21 touches, 94 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown, while catching 1 pass for 21 yards and 1 touchdown. Max Preps will report him for having just over 127 yards per contest, with the quarterback Murray throwing for 148 yards per game. Defensively, McConnell Coffin is the one to watch out for. He's responsible for 12 stops per game. Needless to say, this is a much different Patriot team from a year before, as they have cracked the Max Preps top 25 this week in Class 3A. This rivalry has been one that brewed over the last decade or so. White House Heritage has only been playing varsity football since 2003. Since then, 11 playoff appearances, including a real special run in 2014 that took them all the way to the second round of the TSSAA playoffs. The last time here at Heritage ended up being the most exciting game of the 2020 campaign, as the Bobcats came out on top with a thrilling 43-42 victory in overtime. It was the last win the Bobcats took in this series. Heritage took the very last meeting in 2021. All-time, Greenbrier leads the series 6-4. We're sure it's going to be another great night of football, and we're sure glad we get to spend it with you. Stay tuned. You are listening to Pregame on a Loop here on VOTCLive.com. Be sure to keep up with us on X, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else that uses that handle at VoiceOfCatsTN. We'll be back with more coverage here shortly. This week on the Tennessee Waltz, we're dancing all over the Volunteer State as we check in on the polls, check in all of Robertson County, and find out just what's happening in the Briar. Working the polls this week, Main Street Preps called it hectic last Friday night, in which the top 9 got the job done, but the bottom 16 sure had a lot of movement. You can see that full list for yourself at mainstreetpreps.com, but for now, your top 5 throughout the mid-state, regardless of classification. Number 1 once again goes to Pearl Cone. CPA, they'll jump up 2 spots this week to number 2. Brentwood holds strong again at number 3. Oakland slides down into 4th place. and Lipscomb Academy will round out your top 5. The Tennessean, they saw it a bit differently this week, though they look at the lens statewide. They're promoting, quote, the best game in the state this week, which will feature 2 of the top teams tied for first, Chattanooga Baylor and McCallie. They will face off Friday night in a Division II 3A East Region contest. These 2 schools have combined to win the past 3 Division II 3A state championships, with Baylor winning the 2022 Gold Ball and McCallie winning the previous 3. Out of the Super 25, here is your top 5. Number 1, Baylor. Number 1, McCallie. Number 3, Oakland. Number 4, Pearl Cone. Number 5, Alcoa. Most interesting movement comes at number 25 as Greenville finally drops in with their official record of 4-0. Looking at the AP polls in 6A, it's once again Bradley Central, number 1. Oakland, they are there at number 2. Brentwood, number 3. Germantown, number 4. And Mount Juliet coming in at number 5. In 5A, still the team to beat, Knoxville West. They're sitting at number 1 this week. Followed up by Centennial, Henry County, Southwind, and Nolensville to round out the top 5. Southwind now 6-0 for the first time in school history. Down below us in 3A, more of the same with Alcoa sitting at number 1, Dyersburg at number 2, East Nashville slipping to number 3, Meigs County slotted at number 4, and Gatlinburg-Pittman at number 5. In 2A, Riverside now reigns on top in your first place with 12 first-place votes. York will jump up 2 spots to number 2. Marion County up 2 spots as well to number 3. Milan dropping down to number 4, and Huntington moving up 2 spots as well to finish in 5th. Huntington rises these spots after knocking off last week's number 1 in Milan. East Robertson, still with 2 first-place votes to their name, they fall down to 8th place, just behind the Owls of Smith County, who slipped past them last Friday night. In 1A, South Pitt on top, Dresden, Moore County, McKenzie, Whitwell round out your top 5. Dresden, the alma mater of a coworker of mine, they got a big matchup with number 8 in 1A, Union City, this week. Dresden, they're looking to go 7-0 for the first time since 2016. Division II, again, all eyes on Baylor and McCallie. The others, Middle Tennessee Christian and Franklin Road Academy. In Class 4A, it's Pearl Cone all alone at the top with 16 first-place votes. Upperman in second place with 2 first-place votes. Elizabethton still in third with 1 first-place vote. Hardin County sitting at number 4 and Greenville at number 5. Haywood County will stay there at number 6, and that's when we start seeing Region 4 causing a ruckus. Macon County and Stone Memorial now tied at 7th. They will be on a collision course until the very end of the season. Marshall County, they inch up 1 spot to 9th, and in 10th, making their debut this season, is Northview Academy, sitting at 6-0. All the way from Kodak, Tennessee, they are members of Region 1. Still with Greenville and Elizabethton to go this season, they went 4-6 a year ago, and they've only been playing varsity ball since 2015. They could lose every game from here on out and still post their first winning season in school history. The school from Sevier County is also home to one of the newest and largest Buc-ee's stores, one that claims to be, quote, the largest in the country. Other schools receiving votes this week: Anderson County, Red Bank, Gibbs, Loudoun, and Obion. Just over the halfway point of the year, the regions begin to take shape. If the playoffs started today in Region 5-4A, number 1 overall, Pearl Cone, they're a perfect 3-0 in region play, and they've only given up 8 total points in region play. Number 2, Marshall County, they're perfect in region play at 3-0. Number 3, White House, they're 3-1. Number 4, Creekwood at 2-1. And your other order, Station Camp, Greenbrier, Whites Creek, Montgomery Central. On tap tonight around the region, Station Camp, they're at White House. Whites Creek is at Pearl Cone. Creekwood is at Marshall County. Of course, we are here at White House Heritage. Montgomery Central, the only winless team in 5-4A, they're playing out of region tonight at Fairview. They share their region with White House Heritage. Around Robco, things we know. We're at White House Heritage tonight, and White House is hosting Station Camp. Playoff positioning, that will be the phrase for the Blue Devils going forward, and a win here tonight could solidify them as a lock. It should be a pretty fun matchup with those two teams that are leaning heavily into the running attack over the last few weeks. Also going on around the county, East Robertson is at Westmoreland. The Indians feel they were upset last week as they looked to bounce back in a game against a formidable Westmoreland team who slipped last week at Liberty Creek. Isaiah Groves only rushed for 164 yards and was held to just 1 touchdown last Friday to bring his total to just over 1,232 yards rushing on the year, passing his mark last year of 1,229. Everyone is 1-0 this week with both teams looking to get back on track. Next up, we got Joe Burns there at Clay County. The Red Devils are also steaming as they let a close one slip by last week to Cheatham County. With nothing but region contests the rest of the way and the benefit of a small region, making noise at the right time can carry them back to the playoffs. On that note, Clay County, they were the 1A runner-up last year. They've won 4 straight games. Otherwise, we got Springfield. They're taking on Hendersonville. The Jackets, not having nearly the year they wanted so far, they'll host a 2-loss Hendersonville, whose only blemishes are Brentwood and Beach. All but guaranteed a spot in the playoffs in their 6-team region. The Jackets will lean heavily on their senior Clarence Cobbins to sting the Commandos. They only need one more region win to theoretically qualify for the playoffs. Continuing our waltz across the state, looking at Class 4A in Region 6, this is who we would match up with in Round 1 of the playoffs. Right now, if the playoffs started today, number 1, Hardin County, number 2, Jackson Northside, number 3, South Gibson, and number 4, Lexington. Remember, their top 2 will host our bottom 2, and our top 2 will host their bottom 2. Only 4 games to go for most teams as we head down the stretch. Some other big matchups this week in 5A. It's number 1 Knoxville West. They're hosting 3A number 1 in Alcoa. And while this one won't have any implications on their class at the highest level, we could be looking at some more fun to be had on next week's polls. In 6A, it's number 6 Maryville. They're hosting 6A number 9 Bearden. And in D2 AA, Franklin Road Academy is hosting number 5 Davidson Academy. Folks, that's been your Tennessee Waltz for Week 7. Thank you for listening to us. We'll be right back with more coverage of Greenbrier football.